Everybody, welcome back. It's the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're finally getting together with Mike and Eddie. We're going to talk about what we thought about this finale, and obviously we'll do a little bit of what we thought about the series. So we'll see. Do we for all on the same page? If we agree, we disagree, we'll see. All right, so let's get to it.
Bring me WolverThor!
Hey guys, what's going on? You doing well? How's life? Mike, you out in New York there, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Super late.
Enjoying the super cold weather. It's
Oh, yeah, you're missing.
What is it out there?
Yeah.
So it's been weird, but I would say on average it's been like 40 degrees.
So, and
But
for...
there's some-
And Mike,
been
you're
some
from
nice
the, well, all of us are. You two are from both from out east. I'm from the Midwest. I mean, Mike, how do you really feel about calling that cold?
Well, so I've been out in LA for so long that I'm a baby now. So
Yeah, I feel you.
I lost my cold strength.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with this. So, yeah, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Let's see. I don't know if we're gonna fight each other or not about how we felt about it, but we'll get into all that. Finale, 6-episode series. For me, it was essentially the series was about, and it culminated in this finale was Sam becoming Captain America, and that was the biggest arc for me in the entire show. I will admit, in Endgame when he got it, I was like, no. For no other reason than I was just like, I didn't really like the character. I thought he was fine, but I'm just like, what is this? I know he's in the comics, but I'm like, Anthony Mackie's not doing it for me. Like, I'm sorry, I don't see him as Cap. I'll get to my opinion on that at the end of the show. We'll see if it changes or not. And then there's some talk of, like within this episode specifically, Walker getting redeemed, maybe weirdness. I don't know. Sharon is, Sharon's maybe super scary. I'm not sure I'm scared.
Don't know who she is anymore.
Yeah, so anyway, and then Bucky paying debts. That's the episode. See you guys later.
All right, great.
Yep, see ya. So anyway,
Signing off.
Yeah, right. So before we get into the specifics of the episode, you guys want to give your kind of overarching comments on the show and the series and the finale, just kind of the arcs, so to speak?
I would love Michael to go first. Carry on, sir.
So, if we're gonna talk a general outlook on the show, I'm gonna say I liked it. But this last episode, I would say I hated most of it. There was some cheesiness to it. It was campy. It didn't almost make sense. I feel like it's hard. I could go down like a thing, but I would say I still liked this series. I hope they do it again. Apparently they've announced that they're, I think, doing a movie. So Captain America 4 is coming out. So I'm all in on it. I think to semi-agree with you, Thor, when Sam got the shield, I didn't necessarily be like, I don't get it. But I think once the first couple episodes happened, I think we were all in agreement where we were like, that's his shield. He's Captain America. And I think the arc of Sam specifically is perfect. How they did it, and I'm looking forward to like how he progresses in the new, the next chapter of the MCU. Same with Bucky. He's badass. I'm not a fan of kind of some of the minor characters in this, especially in the last episode, but we can get to that. Eddie, I'll let you give your take.
For sure. Okay, so as a show, as the overall show, I enjoyed it. It was a great transition from those two characters and telling them more about their story and how they came to it, how they healed, and how they came to be. Loved it. The last episode, there were some moments where I was like, "Oh, all right, we'll get there when we get there." But there were some moments where I was like, "That wouldn't happen because of it's fiction." That's the only reason why that wouldn't go down. And there were some things that like Mike said, it just felt cheesy, and I was like, "Why did they do it like that?" And I just wish they would have fixed some stuff. And there's still not enough clarity on some of the closing details of the show, which I'm still like, why you couldn't just give us all the information? But overall, I thought it was fun. I loved a lot of the moments in the show, like action-wise, were fantastic. I mean, I was like, yes, dude, that was so sick. Like, but then other moments, I want to sit there and just go, if I was director, I would have done it differently. If I was an actor, I would have said something different there. Like, just me.
Yeah.
I'm an actor, I'm just saying. If I was on the show, I would have said it differently.
No, I mean, actor or not, right? We've all got our opinions on how we think shows should look or flow, or if we liked it or not. And yeah, no, it'll be interesting. We'll go through some of the scenes kind of in detail like normal. The show starts with the Flag Smashers, the lockdown, basically where the last episode left off. You know, and it gets, for me, it was like Sam comes flying in. You don't see him yet. You see the kind of the jetpack, right? The blue trail.
Yeah.
And he says that he's got backup. You know, Sharon does the whole mask thing like Black Widow and Winter Soldier. And Carly sees Sam and says, you know, it's time to get basically gas the vote. So it's like, all right, you know. And for me at this point, there's nothing really exciting other than the fact we see Sam's coming in something, and we're like, what is this going to be? And to me, that's the whole build up at this point is, okay, he's in his new suit. We haven't seen it yet. What's it going to look like? But you guys have anything to add to that? There's not much there at that point, but.
Yeah, no, I think you said it right. I think it was from the last episode, the last thing we pretty much saw was him opening up the box. And it was the intro to show what was in the box. Really, I think that was all it was setting up. And yeah, so yeah, that was pretty much. You're on point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, simple intro. You know, they're all kind of getting in position after the evacuation. I think I want to say they used Carly's last line from the last episode when what did she say? They're not going to stop until we make them. It's time. I think they redid it. They used it again, but I think she sounded more like aggressive in this one. Like she was very like affirmative. I want to get into like their plan of the whole thing because to me that was a little confusing. Again, I don't fully understand what they were trying to do because we'll get there. But yeah, that's
hit it. I mean, because I mean this is a big part of it because the next part. I mean, maybe I'm jumping in early on it, but
right
because they gas it. You know, and then they start, you know, Sam busts in and, you know, that's the first time you see him in the suit, which, you know, actually, no, let's pause, I guess. So, yeah, the suit, he jumps in the suit. For me, I was just like, yeah, like, this is awesome. Go. Just like, I love how he comes in. He kind of looks off to the side, gives that just, I call it like trailer moment type thing. You know what I mean? So I dug this suit, the Wakandan suit, which we'll get into as he does all the fight scenes and, you know, how it gives him all these different abilities and almost makes up for the not having the serum. But what was your guys' first impression when you saw him come in on the suit?
Sick. Like he popped in through the shield first because he can't break through the glass, which I always find interesting. So he does that, and then he rolls in. It's magnetized, so he was able to roll in, get it back, and then zip it back up there. It was very like comic book to a T. The red, white, and blue, sick. And then everybody's like, oh, you know, what do we call it? He's Captain America. Like he's taking it on.
Yep.
And I was like, that's great. I love that. And you know, it was so sick to like so sick to watch him roll in and then like stand up and like have that superhero like that pose moment like Thor and Wakanda, all those moments. So even when Cap shows up in Infinity War, which I watched last night, so I'm heavy on those moments right now. Yeah, I mean he had it, and then he goes to start saving people and just some of the moves he was pulling. But Mike, I'll let you give your thoughts on it though.
No, I mean I agree. I think when it comes to the MCU. When it comes to having a comic book accurate costume, they're pretty spot on with all the heroes. And this one was like, you know, we use the term like straight out of the comics. Like it was pretty much straight out of the comics. I do find it interesting, like Eddie said, like throwing like can't break glass and kind of doing some things. Also, I have a question. If again, I don't know the dynamics of it, but if Wakanda made my suit, that thing better be like all vibranium or bulletproof or something, because it feels like you could still get shot and hurt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think everyone should be bulletproof at this point. if you're getting stuff made in Wakanda, you don't get shot and hurt. And
right.
So, but again, I think they wanted it to look similar to Captain America's suit because it had that form or that it almost had the same looked like the same material,
like design,
if you will,
yeah.
but just Yeah. But I always like, again, this is like dumb, like stupid, like questioning, but I'm like, this whole thing should be like, other than getting shot in the face, like you're bulletproof.
Yeah.
And
There was
just do anything.
There was discussion of like he has like the little like band, the goggles here, but like his head is totally exposed.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, why would you not put something here? Because he's covered everywhere else, except maybe the hands and like the head.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the one spot that if you're aiming right, gotcha, like done. Like if Deadshot was in the MCU, I'd be like, well, this guy's gonna die soon. Like,
but it was very accurate to the comics, and so I get it. But like my whole mindset is like a Falcon is basically like a lower version of Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he flies, he uses like everything else, but like he doesn't have super serum.
Right.
So I'm with you. But I thought it was a cool moment for him. The intro looked cool, everything was cool. But again, I just don't understand what the Flag Smashers were doing. We can talk about that later. You can give your
Well, Eddie, did you give your comment about the suit? I forget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
It was dope. I mean, like his whole thing now. It's like he's part Captain America, part Iron Man, and part Black Panther. Like he's got a bit of everything, you know, and that's super dope. That's great. And I just love how they're like, I thought Captain America was on the moon. They, that little callback from earlier in the series.
Which I also want to talk about at some point, because they've never once said Captain America is dead.
True.
They've used gone. They've used on the moon. They've referenced all these things, which again, I just want to like that's like maybe they're trying to leave. Again, they're making a movie, so maybe they intro it in, but like don't give me these weird like pronouns for him not being around when it's like, is he dead or is he just like, is he young again? Is he old? What's happening?
They've given no definitive answer to like to his whereabouts.
No, they're
it's
just
crazy.
Weird about it. I'd rather not mention it.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just let it go.
Yeah, it's just gonna be something out there for whenever they bring him back in some weird way. So yeah. So all right. So
I have an idea for that, but we can talk about that later.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see. Hold on. You bring it up at some point, right? Let's see. All right. So yeah, he comes in. You guys said like he says he's Captain America. Sam immediately realizes the evacuation's some sort of setup. Which I this might tie into with what you guys have both said about being confused. I don't know how he knew that so quickly. I don't know if he get what triggers he got personally, but I was like, okay, I guess they're not supposed to get everyone out of the building. That's fine. But then Patron comes up right away and is looking to kill Sam or Captain America. And they had a dope fight scene. I'm like, okay, cool. And that goes on through some of these next couple things. You guys can kind of talk about this. I want to give a few sequences here. Carly starts the phone call with Bucky, trying to tell him he's fighting on the wrong side, playing with his head and all that. He tells her he's fought for something bigger than himself twice, and he fell both times. And, during all of this scene, there's also hostages getting put in trucks with special locks on them. And, it looks at that point like Sam's right about the evacuation. So we've got Sam being right about an evacuation, fighting with Batroc, and the start of the phone call. So, Mike, we already know that you've got some major problems with the episode. Just curious if you want to chime in with how you're feeling at this point.
Yeah. So I think we've talked about. Listen, it's hard, especially with these things. Usually, the villains in a lot of these things don't end up meeting your expectations, and from how the Flag Smashers started to what they ended up being, I didn't get anything. It just didn't make sense. They seemed very strong at times. They seemed awkwardly weak at times. It was a mishmash of things where if their end goal was to kill these senators or whatever, they're super soldiers. Go in there, shoot them all. Done. Game over. You win.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just didn't make. I don't understand why kidnapping them. I don't understand any of it. And again,
no. Yeah, I'm curious to hear. Elaborate on this a little bit. Just the plot.
It doesn't make sense for them to either want to kidnap them to where that would change. I would say if they were kidnapping senators because they don't want the GRC.
GRC.
What is it?
GRC.
Yeah, the GRC to change these borders. I feel like doing that, it would enforce the borders even more. Like, I feel like that would like counteract like what they're trying to do. It's like not like all these people are going to do these crazy stuff. Like, no, we're going to put you in like worse situations. And again, like 6 of these guys technically are super soldiers, and they seem like at some points they're just like normal, just bad guys who just get knocked down and they're dead. That also, like the briefcase that they got in the last episode, it was just a smoke bomb, and that evacuated an entire building.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was it. That's what Bad Truck got him. He got him smoke bombs that some random guy threw out there and whatever. So honestly, and we can go towards the we'll talk about the very end, but the Flag Smashers were an irrelevant, unfortunately an irrelevant villain to me.
Yeah.
It was just kind of all over the place. Eddie?
Okay, so I'm with Mike, like the majority, probably 100%. So, okay, so they break in there during this meeting, and their whole plan is to put them into trucks and kill them or take them somewhere. It seemed like they were capturing them to take them somewhere else, to hold them hostage, to have them meet their demands, and then they can move forward with their whole plan. Which, if that's your plan, as they say, we don't negotiate with terrorists. So like, good luck to you. Like, it probably wouldn't work out. And then if you listen closely when they're evacuating the building, they're telling people like where to go. Like, oh yeah, like so like groups A, groups 1 and 2 go to here, and groups 3 go back up to the top. So like they knew. So like the Flag Smashers had infiltrated this whole place. They knew where everybody was going just because someone on the PA was like, hey, head this way and then go this way. So like you're giving away your position. And then they get there, they put them in the trucks, and then you're like, okay, so they lock them in with that little gadget hand thing, or like claw thing. I'm like, all right, cool. Are they gonna blow it up? Are they gonna like send them somewhere? I wasn't sure where they were going, like what their whole plan was. And I'll be honest with you, like, pardon me, Carly, when she was losing people, like as far as like their motivation to move forward, like her plan, she was losing them because she was like one word, like no one answered.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you're losing your crowd. And then she had like enforce it again, and then they reacted. So like I felt like her whole, like her power, her platform was like falling off completely. I just didn't know what their plan was, and like what they planned on doing, because no matter how you approach it, if you kidnap them or kill them, like nothing's gonna get done. Like it's gonna get worse for you if anything else, and nothing's gonna change. So I just didn't really know what they were going for. And I found it funny that Carly was like, "Have you ever fought for anything bigger than yourself?" And you're like, "This is Bucky, dog. Like he fought Thanos, and then
he the entire galaxy,
the whole galaxy. He fought a galaxy, bro. Like where are you at?"
Fun fact.
Yeah.
And you could argue that he's fought for something bigger than himself when he died in Cap 1. Like you can make it. He did 3 times. He fought Thanos twice, and died in freaking Cap.
WW2
in W2. Like I don't understand. Like I thought that was so funny. Because you're like, have you not done your research on this guy? Like what is wrong with you, dog? And it was like, I love those moments in movies when like the person's like, hey, you have a call, and it's the villain, and you're like, oh, love this moment. And then they have a talk with somebody who's more logical and straight minded, and then they try and convince them it just doesn't work. But yeah, and then their whole thing was a briefcase, the smoke in it, and like the little ball they rolled, and that was it. And you're like, all right, that's all you got. Okay, so you weren't gonna kill him. All right, you were gonna kidnap him, and then do what? I'm so confused on the whole plan. On the whole plan. I
also don't even understand the locks on the doors for those cars, because I feel like you could just make those like not open from the inside, and boom, like you're good.
Right.
It's an armored truck.
Right.
No,
but,
it's fair points, because like honestly, I was just so, I guess, childishly caught up in the action that I hadn't. I mean, I think you guys have fair points about the what was their end goal? Why would they do these things if that was their end goal? Because to me, it's like that's just any sort of what I'll call like political debate, where you're like, well, that's not really going to happen if you do that. So you can debate that stuff all day. So I won't go there.
But if we're doing that, the ending of the show is definitely going to be a discussion then. If we're just looking past that, oh buddy, oh buddy.
The part that I'm a little confused at is like, regardless of what their end result was, I just don't understand, like, what were they doing? So you wanted to get him out of the building to trap, I think to trap Falcon there so Batroc could kill him, I think. And that's what they wanted. And then they were going to do something with the hostages outside the building, I think. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I just like don't know. Like, it wasn't like, okay, bring him to the secret fortress where we're gonna keep him until they meet our demands, or it was just like,
it went from getting him into trucks to then like all of a sudden they're like, we need to kill them.
Yeah.
Like, right. Like,
I just that part I didn't really think about it until you guys said it. I'm like, oh yeah, what were they doing? Like,
it was like Plan A went to crap, and you're like, oh, well, what was Plan A? Because you're on your own Plan B, but I know what Plan B is to kill him. But what was Plan A originally?
Yeah, I just didn't. I just was kind of, and it, like you said, it just so quickly went there, and I was all about, you know, when Carly was like, we need a diversion so Bucky has somebody to save. Like, that was smart planning, and I was okay. I'm down with that. But I guess I just didn't really think about the fact that it was just, where are you guys going with this? Where, and I don't know. I mean, I guess it got derailed so quickly. This is, you know, we talked about this with WandaVision a little bit too, and I hope Marvel learns a little bit from this.
Rushing?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
My
it's
God.
like
it's the Game of Thrones effect in the last season of Game of Thrones. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay to have more than 6 episodes of something.
It's okay. Seriously.
Like, even we'll talk about stuff that happened in the end, but like, I think that stuff there's so many like little rush things to be like, oh, this was done. It's like,
there needed to be more development as far as a story, and like a couple of the characters could have had a better development and an arc to actually get to that point of like, I get it, cool. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like in WandaVision, like this episode was kind of rushed. The only thing that saved WandaVision was that ending part where like they're walking back to the house and they're saying their goodbyes, and you're like, dope, like, that was great.
Yeah.
But that didn't have this, or I'm sorry, that moment didn't happen in this series.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I don't know like how this ends.
Yeah.
I mean, they had that thing, and when they were back in Sam's hometown, and they're all getting together, and it's all smiles and whatnot. Great, but like it didn't hit the same. It didn't feel earned. Let's just put it that way. It didn't feel earned.
Yeah, we'll get, and I'll get to my thoughts more on the ending when we get there a little bit. But I differ slightly on you from it, but I do agree with the fact that the WandaVision ending was kind of like, okay. But I do think that the endings are similar in regard to what it meant for the characters, meaning where the character was before the show and where the character was at the end of the show. I think in both cases, we now care very much more about each character and also kind of accept the role that they're currently playing. Scarlet Witch, Captain America. But I hear what you guys are saying. So, all right. So, anything to add before I jump on to the next scenes? I don't want to just say my piece.
Did we discuss any of like Sam's like dope moves while that was happening? Like how he's like flying through the air and like throwing a shield at this plane?
That. Yeah, we'll get to all that. We'll get to that. So, yeah.
You're not gonna like my take on that either.
Oh no, Mikey, Mike.
No, but go ahead.
All right. We'll pause that for now. All right.
Oh, no.
So, you know, Bucky is still talking to Carly on the phone. They're doing their thing. It just says hostages are getting the trucks. He tries to convince her not to kill anyone, but she admits at some point the call was a distraction. He's like, oh crap. He jumps on the bike to go after him. Sharon makes a joke about he had one job. Then we see Karen Sharon. Maybe she is a Karen. I don't even know. She just straight up kills some dude with like mercury vapor. And I'm like, all right.
Which was dope though.
Yeah, I was like, it's a little ruthless, I guess, but you do you, girl. So I just, you know, Sam needs help with Batroc, and he gets to the Joppa, you know. I really did like, so this was one of the parts where I really did like some of the fight moves with the shield flip, you know, Eddie, we'll jump to you here, that, you know, and just how he uses it to knock him over. And then I think he uses his backpack at that point to even like boost a little bit and go chase the chopper down. So you know, I emptied a lot there from the hostages and the distraction to, you know, finishing fight scene in the Mercury. You know, throw everything from that little group there because it did kept jumping back and forth. So talk about the fight, talk about Sharon, talk about whatever part you want.
So she throws the bomb on the dude, and she has him. Like the dude is like just fizzing on the head, and he's out. Like I was like, that's ruthless. Like it's funny watching her arc because you first meet her and she's like this nurse who is doing laundry in Winter Soldier, and now you meet her and she's like this cold-blooded killer, and you're like, what happened in the last 5 years, dog? Like what is going on with you?
Who hurt you?
Yeah, who hurt you? Probably
the government did.
Yeah, there you go. But I thought she was snapped, so I'm trying to figure out like how.
Oh yeah, because she did show up as a face, didn't she?
Snapped. She
yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how, if you were snapped for 5 years, how you came back and built this empire. Like I'm just trying to figure out like how that all happened. Because I think there's a shot in Endgame if you're watching the board in the beginning of all the people who were something like she's on the board. And I was like, okay, so she's gone, but like maybe she wasn't, and they're just almost like Ant-Man. He wasn't really snapped. He was in a quantum realm and just hanging out. She might have not been snapped. She probably just disappeared. Like, she just probably just went MIA, went rogue, whatever. So maybe that's the one reason. Anyway, when he throws the shield, when he beats Patrick, throws the shield, runs outside to go chase that chopper. I was like, dope. There were so many awesome moments. He's got 2 Red Wings now. They're helping like figure things out. The one part that I didn't really care for, this was just like, it's fictional convenience, I guess, or story convenience.
The woman who's naturally a pilot.
Yes, bro. Like, I'm like, okay, so you play. Oh, I couldn't get past it. I was like, so the one person on the plane is the only way that your plan works. And if she wasn't there or didn't have that experience, what's the second option? Like, I gotta know like what your option is at this point. That's the one thing I didn't care for. But all the moves, I mean, like, it was cool. And like I said before, his head is exposed. There were a handful of times where he's getting shot at and he had to put the shield over his head to like cover himself or like shift a wing to a certain way. So I get that. That's, I mean, like, it's part of, just maneuverability, but like, that was dope. And then when he saves the one guy on the bridge and like he covers him up with the shield with the wings, I thought that was super sick. Because again, vibranium just like skids off, nothing crazy. But I mean, there were so many like superhero moments where he does that and stands up and the wings are outstretched and it was super sick. And then the move of him getting the woman to become the pilot when he throws the shield through the door and just pushes the dude out, like that was sick. I thought there were some moments, but that moment with the pilot, I was like, if that doesn't work out, like what's your backup?
He's got a plan B. We just didn't get to see it.
I would have rather have seen that than that story convenience. I'm just saying, like, personally for me, I would have. But Mike, what are your thoughts?
So I'll say this. I think the fight scenes and the money they've put into the CGI to make everything, I think it all looks phenomenal. I'll give them credit. I thought the entire helicopter sequence for him was such like fan service to like make him believable as a hero, which I don't think they needed. Like, I think he's been a hero for so long. I don't think you needed to see him do cool stuff or to believe that he's like worthy of Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's been doing cool stuff and we know what his limits are per se with everything. Now, if they wanted to show off what he can do, great. But like, I thought the whole sequence for him doing the helicopter thing was purposely for just him, which I don't think was needed. It was almost also like 15 minutes of the show or however long.
It was a while.
Maybe 10.
It was a while.
10 minutes of something. It's like, that's a lot of time to spend on him just doing badass stuff. Again, I get it's a comic book show. I get you want to like I agree with Eddie. The convenience of having a pilot on the helicopter.
Wow.
Again, everything looked cool. I'll never knock Disney for the amount of money they put into the action and all that stuff. The CGI looked phenomenal. In my hotel, I randomly had RoboCop 3 on, and there's a part where he's flying on a jetpack. It looks terrible. So it looked phenomenal. I just thought it was fan service that wasn't necessary for him. Because there was even a part, I think, at the very end, which was another cheesy part where the crowd is watching and one of the guys goes, that's Black Falcon. And the other guy, no, that's Captain America. Like, again, that's like cheesy comic book stuff, but that honestly, I don't know why, but that reminded me of like parts of like Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire one.
Yeah. I definitely got some of those vibes.
So campy and cheesy, like, haha, like even, we'll go into other scenes, but like even his speech scene, I loved his speech scene, but like the fact it was like on the news, like there's a whole
platform was all wrong. Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, again, I thought looked phenomenal, cool aspects, some convenience, but at the end of the day, I really don't think it was a needed part to show how cool he was. Again, but that's just me.
How cool he can be.
What about you, Thor?
I definitely had some Spider-Man 3 vibes to things. I thought they overdid a couple of those. I liked how he said it early on. I feel like, when he first enters, breaks through the window and he says, "I'm Captain America." I'm like, cool. All right, he's kind of saying who he is. I'm down for this. This works. And then I would have been okay with, another time-ish, maybe. Like, I don't know, or maybe one other character being like, maybe the news outlet saying, the part where, what do we call him? Falcon? Captain Falcon? Because there was that part when he was in the news area.
Right, that part.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Captain Falcon, you're like, hang on.
Yeah, I mean,
There's already a character named Captain Falcon.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they're making fun, making a joke of it. And it's like, no, he's going to have some sort of, name. So I'm kind of like, all right, the delivery of the no, that's Captain America was a little cheesy, but I did feel like we needed one more real one. So I don't know. There was, to me, the helicopter scene was definitely long. I thought it was cool. I liked seeing a lot of it, but I definitely felt like he was flying and looking in the helicopter a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get it. You're trying to get into the helicopter here. You get knocked over. You hit those large, huge concrete pipes. You get knocked down into the water. That I loved the knock into the water scene and getting knocked over, coming out like a torpedo, like he was Iron Man. I
have one question.
Yeah.
He was in the water for way too long.
Thank you. That's my. Like, he went under, and I was like, he doesn't have a thing on, right? Like, he's going to be under there, and then he just shot out. Like, it's different if it was Iron Man because he's got the mask on.
Dry after being in the water.
He was a torpedo. You don't have a dryer? They spin around, and it's kind of like that's how it works.
Listen, I know this is all fantastical, but I'm gonna I'm gonna be a realist about some things. You're gonna be wet.
That's, and maybe I'll watch it again and see a little glisten. Maybe we see a glisten. Look,
you don't. I just watched it.
Well, I will say Marvel is typically so good. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there is a point in the episode where I think it was when Bucky was punching the lock. We'll get there in a second, but when he was punching the lock, they actually show the vibranium arm like lighting up some, almost as if it's getting charged or like wearing down a little bit. So I feel like if they really wanted to show water on it, they would. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I that's where I was like, I just wrote it off as kind of one of those things where it's like, whatever. He's some torpedo coming out and whipping off all the water.
It was a cool looking. Again, it was fan service. That whole thing.
100%. 100%.
Looked cool on a screen, which I was fine with.
Yeah, I think they were really trying really hard to, because, we've talked about this before. Like, think about all the cool Falcon moments in the show prior to this one. And if you think about it, I mean, it's Endgame when he stabs that giant beast.
Dope.
What else? Like, maybe one or two other moments you're struggling to even think of.
He has cool fight scenes in Civil War.
Yeah. I mean, they were definitely good. I mean, I feel like they weren't bad for sure. I guess I felt like they definitely needed some more solo Falcon looking like a badass. And yes, they did it a little bit. And to me, they didn't need 10 minutes of it in this, given that we got shorted on some of story parts, specifically, in my opinion, Sharon and the final Bucky name to cross off, which we'll get to in a little bit.
I wanted that so bad.
Yeah, that was probably the thing that bothered me the most. But again, we'll get to that in a bit. So yeah, I wasn't as bothered, but I definitely, you guys know me. I get a little fanboy-y at times, and I just like to, yes, a little.
He said a little.
I mean, so it's like I'll watch like the first Avenger, and be like, oh, this is an okay movie now that I watch it. Like at the time, I was like, and still like it's not a very well received movie, but watching it now after everything's over, I'm kind of like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that beginning, and I'm hopeful that this series and even the first Sam Wilson Captain America might be similar. Where it's kind of like, look, it's not the best movie in the world, but after all, it just builds this character to become cooler and cooler and cooler. And that's my hope. And, if I'm just judging it by itself, yeah, it had cheese. It had cheese, you know what I mean? And, but for me, like I said at the start, at the end of the day, I believe he is Captain America now. And I like that. That's the part where I'm like, it erases some of these other things for me. So that's my long-winded opinion there. So let's see. All right. So let's see. Where are we at in the scenes here? Sam Chase. So we get, I think, Eddie, you mentioned this earlier, that the Flag Smashers are talking again. Carly talks about killing the hostages at this point. And you could even see in her crew that, they're just like, wait, what? You know,
We're
so
doing
like,
it.
yeah, so like even when you guys were talking before, like what was their plan? Clearly there wasn't a plan B about killing him because they all looked at her like, what are you talking about? Like this is
Right.
not what we talked about. So
Because even when Carly killed Hoskins, they were all like shocked by it, and you're like, "What was your plan with the knives then? Why are you
Yeah.
fight?" Like, I don't understand what they were going for. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you can go ahead. It was just kind of surprising how they were always shocked by it. I was like, "Huh."
yeah, you know, and Eddie, but you hit the other part I was gonna say. All right, she had to say one world twice to get them to say one
Yeah.
people, and I was kind of like, all right, she's losing them. You know, and not only was she losing them, she was losing us. You know, at this point in the show, it's kind of like, yo, like any sympathy or empathy that you had in the show.
Gone.
I'm like, all right, like, and she, I mean, at one point she even says, like, we can die, it doesn't matter. I'm like,
They were like,
okay,
what?
well, you're saying it, so I guess I was already thinking it. You know, like, fine, that's how I'm gonna feel. Cool.
That's why I took that super soldier serum to die immediately.
I'm like,
Bet.
yeah, you don't need to be this big powerhouse of a person to, you know, take a stand or kidnap people with smoke bombs and drive them off in trucks and kill them. You know, like, you don't need to, I mean, I guess it helped them fight Bucky and them longer, you know, so okay.
I will say though, I feel like maybe their overall arc might have been better if we got the series as it was originally intended.
I think
I
you're
will
right.
say that.
Yeah.
That might have changed some stuff, but because they cut out some things due to the coronavirus pandemic, maybe their entire arc just kind of got like shafted. Essentially,
Yeah, I mean, look, you could definitely be right on that, and I think, I mean, I get that was certainly a sensitive situation. So fine, you know what? Okay, all right, no big. And I actually thought it was going okay. It wasn't bad. You know, we were up and down with them. I personally was like, you know, their message isn't bad. One world, one people. Like, all right, you know. And I think Sam even makes a couple lines later where, you know, I'm like, yeah, that's a good message. He's like, do you see what they're fighting for? Like 2.0 will come. Like they rallied the world around this. So I'm like, yeah, they had a message. But somehow in this episode, they definitely, and maybe it was just Carly going nuts, honestly. And maybe if that was the plan, that was writing, cool. All right, fine.
Right.
All right. So anyway, I'm really laboring that point just because I was like, yeah, that was one of my problems. And you guys were getting me to get onto it a little bit. So, you know, Mike, or one of you guys mentioned how, you know, Sam saves that New York Police Department chopper. I personally thought that was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Thought it was so cool how it, like,
Sick.
he got the one out of there, got it shot off. I think it was maybe one of his little drones or something, like, helped carry him away. And then he grabbed the other one and just, like, cocooned into the ground. And I don't know if you guys caught this, but when his wings came out and scraped the concrete, it like it cut up the street. So those wings, like, they're, in my opinion, like 100% vibranium. Like they're
I think I forget who he was fighting, but there was one part where his wings go into the cement too.
Yeah, it's fighting Carly.
yeah,
Wings
this
is fighting Carly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like they are very strong for sure. And also in that same part, the helicopter bounces off of him.
I know. That was like sick.
Like
Ping.
like a helicopter hit him.
yeah coming full speed crashing, and he's just like, all right, we all cool.
NBD.
All right, I gotta go.
Real quick.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, man. So no headache, no like trauma. You're good. Like just you don't need a minute to like get your senses or anything. I'm like, all right.
Again, everything looked cool. I will not knock the visuals.
Yeah.
I just knocked the entire aspect of it.
Yeah,
Whether it was good.
I do know Nate Moore is very into CGI and is very critical of all CGI movie. It's one of the first things CGI in the movie sucked. It's like, so Marvel really does good work in that. And Nate Moore is clearly somebody who very much cares as an executive producer. I'm sure he's behind the scenes going, no, not good enough. No, not good enough. Nope.
Yep.
Not good enough. So
That's the green light everything.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's see. So we have that dope scene which you guys talked about a little bit. Then so this is the part where we're back to the Flag Smashers with the hostages and Bucky showing up with the kind of throwback to, you know, pick a Captain America throwing a motorcycle situation or throwing himself. You know, Carly looks for the diversion where she tries to set the truck on fire. This is the start of the, you know, just killing the hostages. Bucky has to save them. I love that where he just is kind of like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And he just goes full Winter Soldier rage mode, hitting that thing. And then our friend John Walker shows up and is like,
Your boy.
Morgan Thor! And I'm like, all right. I like, again, this dude is delivering as an actor, in my opinion. I'm like, all right, he's pissed. I'm down with this. Like, yes, okay, do it, man. Like, you do your thing. I do have some problems with how Walker ends up arcing into the final here. I will say that. So I'll leave it at that because I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I'm gonna let Mike go first because I want to hear this. Like, I just really want to hear this, and I'll piggyback.
So I hated every second of this again. I hated his tinfoil shield, which got dented in like 3.5 seconds.
Yeah.
Again, the one thing we've talked about in each of these episodes, it's like he either has like major PTSD or the serum is like, he goes either off his rocker or he's like kind of cool. So I guess I get him wanting revenge on Carly.
Yeah.
That I understand.
Right.
But that whole moment just stuck. It just stunk. I just didn't like any second of it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like, if we're going to progress a little bit, how then a team up with Bucky happens. Bucky's fine with teaming up with Walker when he just beat the shark out of him to get his shield back, and like he's been like excommunicated from like the United States military.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't know how all of a sudden it was like, oh, let's have him work for us now. It's like this. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Eddie, you can go on, but I don't get it.
So Bucky shows up on the bike, shoots over the concrete wall, which I thought was pretty sick. Starts making light work of that little lock on the door, pulls it off, gets those people out, starts fighting a couple of the Flag Smashers, has some hard times, and then you hear Walker. He shows up with his makeshift shield, which even sounds different when it's thrown and hit around. Like it doesn't have that same like reverb that the vibrating one. It sounds like tin, yeah. He throws it, it gets ping, 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 and then like they start going to town on your boy. I mean, just wailing him, and like they're breaking this shield up. The shield is like it's torn apart, like at the seams, it's all rinned out, and he's fighting Carly. And like I really enjoy like narrow spaced fight scenes now. Like after Daredevil did it, you're like, all right, everybody's doing it now. So like they're all doing it. So like they're fighting inside that little construction
Stanchions.
The stanchions. And thank you. And that was dope. And Carly gets, Carly kind of gets the better of him, gets away from him and all that stuff. And then he has a shift when they start to push the truck over the edge of that thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, so all of a sudden he decides I'm going to save these people instead. Okay. First of all, let me go back. Did Bucky get thrown off by that point? Was he already thrown off?
So Bucky was on the bottom fighting the long-haired dude with like a giant piece of metal. Yeah. And they were on the top.
Just making sure. And it was cool how like when he got thrown off there, you kind of heard his scream. It kind of echoed sounds of like Captain America, like that scream of like when he got thrown off. I thought it was pretty. So then he landed, superhero landing, as Deadpool would say. But yeah, so then the truck starts to go over the top, and all of a sudden, Mr. Walker has a change of heart, and then grabs the truck and starts reeling it back in. And I'm like, where did this come from? Like, how did you get here, bud? You just all of a sudden decided, you know what? I can't win this, but I can win the hearts of America if I save this truck. And I was like, where did that come from? Because you haven't had that since episode 2, excuse me. And I'm like, all right.
I think, all right. So chime in here a little bit. So I think that, I think this, you see him shake his head. Like he's just like, shaking, and just like, you can tell he's like struggling because he's got part. And I mean, look, the truth is yeah, he was an asshole, but he was, he was a soldier who was trying to save people. So there is this part of him that, he's going to be a good anti-hero. You know what I mean? He is. You think about Venom and how Venom is like. I think he's going to be U.S. agent as like, he's not going to be a bad Captain America per se. I think he's going to be one of these characters who you just keep jumping back and forth on. You know what I mean? And even like, look, I love Punisher, but there are definitely times where you look at Punisher and you're like, oh, dude, like you're this is a little much, man.
Right.
Now I would never say that about Punisher.
I mean,
I feel like real quick, like what might have helped. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's all good.
I think what might have helped is if they had like a little flashback to when him and Hoskins were talking about how like, if we had the super soldier serum, like a lot of those missions would have had a different outcome. And I think that would have helped help get to that point of him pulling the truck back rather than just letting it fall.
Yeah.
I think that might have helped a little bit. But that's just me. I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
No, I think that's a good point. I mean, and like, well, yes, Mike, I agree. Punisher can do no wrong.
I was just kidding. I was just kidding.
But
he can't though.
He doesn't mess up.
No, but for real, he can't. I could see where there's degrees of where you accept a sort of villainish mentality or somebody who just it goes over the edge a little bit. And Walker is, he was kind of teetering back and forth on that a little bit. But then he lost us. He just straight up lost us after he took out that flag smasher because he was like, dude, like, yeah, I get it. He killed your boy. Or, like, well, he didn't even do it. But you just, like, straight up raged out. I don't know. I think like anything that they do with the MCU is they use the comics as kind of a, I don't know what the right way to say it is, but it's like inspiration. And they can take, like, the power broker in the comics is a dude. Like, there's two versions of it. There's some like dude and another dude, and one of the guys.
Carly's Carl, and like it's a guy.
Exactly. Like, so they take liberties, right? So I see them.
The truth.
Yeah, exactly. Or they bend what they did before. You know, just like they have a ton of different versions of Spider-Man. I think this version, the MCU version of US Agent, is going to be this troubled guy who does struggle with that, and I could get on board with that a little bit, especially with Wyatt Russell as the actor. Like, if he continues to keep doing it how he is, I'm like, I want to love to hate you, and I want to have moments where I like you too. So, I actually, when I was watching this scene, was like, is this dude really so dead set on Carly he's just gonna ignore the hostage? It's like, what the hell? Like, how is he just ignoring it? And then when he did that, so I was like, thank you. So that's where my head was at when he did it. So I was in a little different space when that happened. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I was happy that he did it. Like, I was happy that they had the moment he saved him and he kind of went back on his previous mentality. I think it's almost trying to like save face. I think at some point. Yeah. But then Captain America swoops in and like legitimately saves the day, and it was actually low-key kind of dope. Like, I was very pleased how they did that.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to me. Like, in that split second, because there wasn't ever a point where it showed Walker like doing good. It was like he took this moniker and it was a weird shift of having the power of being Captain America, but then also doing like messed up stuff. And like kind of being crazy, and like the shake that he does is very like, again, crackheady, like like he's having like a PTSD shake, and it's like I mean I get what they're doing because it's not making him a full bad guy. But again, it incorporated him into the fight where he just partnered up with Sam, Buck.
Yeah. Okay. So let me. Sorry, I got to jump on that one because that to me is actually one of my biggest problems with the episode. Is that okay? I'm fine with the arc of Walker, going from this hero to annoying asshole to kind of hero to really big annoying asshole and back and forth and anti-hero and all that stuff. The part I had the biggest problem with was, well, wait a minute. Him and Bucky don't like each other. Like, all of a sudden, it's just like, Bucky, the flag smashers are such a threat that Bucky's going to be like, okay, yeah.
Bucky just snapped his arm in half like 2 seconds ago.
Seriously. And I mean, and throughout, and then even when they look, and we'll get to this part later, but at the end of the culmination of all that, they just kind of all nod at each other and like, see you later, bud. it's like
Bucky,
okay.
and him, like, basically like pat each other on the butts, was like, hey man, good game.
Exactly. And I'm like,
it went from like, you are like now a problem for me to the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and you're like, I don't know when this happened. I do not know when this happened.
Yeah. So that to me was my biggest problem with the episode, honestly. Like, I could not get on board with that at all. I just couldn't. I mean,
lost.
Again, I get that they wanted to save the hostages, but like I needed something from Bucky and Sam to I don't know, something from them to go, wait, are we really gonna help him right now? Like a second of hesitation from Bucky when he went to go jump and save Walker. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm off, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just had to jump in on that one.
No, we're all on the same page here.
We are.
But going back to what Eddie said, the part where Cap comes back and saves the truck and pulls it out with the little, he's got multiple, I feel like, little.
It was 2, right?
Yeah, the drones.
Red Wings.
It's very cool. But also at the same time, and again, this is like nitpicky, like logic speaking, Sam is like struggling to push it when at the end of the day, it's really his jetpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you're not holding it, but you're like kind of holding it.
Well, it's similar to Iron Man in was it Homecoming or was it? I think it was Homecoming when the boat splits in half and he rolls up and he pushes the whole thing forward. You know, that was like, all right, cool. It's not really him. It's more the suit pushing it with the jetpacks,
like,
right?
When they were showing Sam's face, he's going like,
right.
And at the same time, it's like your machine is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
80-20.
I'm going to disagree with you guys partially here. And I'm going to act like I'm an expert in this solely because, and I don't even know if you guys know this, but I used to do a martial art called Tamiki Aikido. And I did it for a long time, to the point where I was like working towards black belt stuff. So I did it long enough. Okay. And
why did you stop, bud?
Because I moved to LA and the classes were at USC and it was just late at night and it just was too much. But anyway. Anyway, that aside, we can talk about that another day. So the point, right. The point of me bringing this up is that part of what Aikido does is like you use your muscles and like or your positioning and certain things to be able to move a force. So like, but when you do that, and I don't know if you guys can see my arm, but I'm like holding it up towards the camera, and like you can like you use your legs to basically form a huge like you're almost like a solid figure, solid stature, right? So I can imagine Sam, Captain America, holding this truck with his arms, and even though I've got something on my back putting it, there is still an amount of muscle or tendons or something. And I actually, the truth is I actually struggled with that part going, he shouldn't be able to do that. Because there is some part of his actual muscular physique that needs to be able to he's got to be able to, what's the right word for it? But he's got to
hold it.
Yeah, he's got to be able to hold it and let the jetpack do the work. So there's...
No, I mean, I don't. Again, it was a minor nitpicky thing. Again, I think it was a cool scene. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And again, you're probably right in that aspect, but it was just like one of those things where it made it seem like I don't know. It's not an important thing.
Yeah, it's not.
We can move.
Yeah. All right, so we've been jumping around a little bit. We've hit a lot of this stuff. Let's see. The diversion, we talked about that. We talked about Bucky jumping up to help Walker. That fight scene was cool in general. The shield gets broken. It was hilarious how Carly just made that.
Shattered.
Yeah. We talked about Bucky opening the truck. Bucky saving Walker, getting thrown off the building. It was the superhero land. You guys mentioned that, and then the arm back up to kind of stop the steal. And then it was back to the chopper. Let's finish off the chopper scene before Sam comes to the truck. Is when Sam coordinates with the woman flying. Obviously, we've already talked about that part. But I will say that I did like the flip or whatever it was that Sam did to throw the shield through there and just go through and pick the guy up. I thought that was pretty cool. I did like that, the shield throw and the pilot knockout, him going through. I just was like, all right, that was pretty sick.
All the action has been phenomenal. Yeah. I will never
fantastic.
the action.
Yeah, I did want to hit that one part because I just was like, you can't skip that part. That was a dope thing to go through the front. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. It was sweet. Let's see. So, all right. So then we're back to the Walker and the Flag Smashers. Did the structure, saving the truck. We already talked about all that. We talked about, we already hit that's Black Falcon. Nah, that's Captain America. Cheesy. Maybe, I don't know, but...
No, not maybe. Very.
Yeah.
A callback to when the kid said it back in the episode. Was it 3 or 4? When the kid said it? Yeah, so...
Yeah.
It's Cheese Whiz. It's Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz. All right. I won't die on that hill. Let's see. Oh,
I think the next scene, I think there was a smoke bomb that hit down.
Yeah, well, just before that, Carly says to Sam she couldn't believe he bought into the bullshit, which, I did like how Sam said he's trying something different. But yeah, like you guys said, like the smoke comes out and then we get to see Sam's some more of the tech on his outfit with
heat signatures.
Yep. The feet.
Which was
now,
awesome.
I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. The one part that I struggled with next was when they split up. because he's
Right.
like, oh, someone went that way. And Walker just goes, and you can tell Sam's like, dude, what, should we talk about this?
Right.
But the second super soldier goes with the first super soldier. And I'm kind of like, okay, I guess that makes sense. But
Sure.
I mean, part of me was like, yes, that shows that Sam is now fine being by himself. He doesn't need a super soldier with him, but I don't know. Am I grasping at something there? Did you guys have a problem with that part?
I mean, I just don't understand Walker being there in general. But yes, I agree
He's
with you.
revenging Lamar. I mean, that's really it. He's the revenging Lamar.
I think it's Sam can handle his own thing. That's well and good, but I think we talked about it. It goes back to just Bucky being like, I'm okay going with this guy. It's like, no, just stick with your boy.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
You got it. Yeah, Eddie, what do you got?
So you say he's avenging Lamar. If that's the case, cool. But it felt like they just all of a sudden teamed up. Everything's cool. We're gonna handle this problem. It would be different if like Walker still had his own agenda while fighting Cap and Bucky. That would have made a little bit more sense because like all of a sudden he just changed and now they're partners and it's this whole team up thing and you're like, that's so weird. So Walker goes and then he's like, Bucky hesitates and just like, it's cool, I got it. And then he goes with Walker and then he flies solo, no pun intended. And this scene coming up confused me. There were so many things that happened. Like again, questions weren't fully answered. Some things felt cheesy. But I'll let you lead us in, Thor, before we continue on.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, let's see here. Let's see. So we get to the chat, like we talked about. It keeps jumping around here. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So this is where. All right. I remember what happens next now. So
Yeah, you do.
Sharon and Carly.
Yeah, you do.
Sharon and Carly meet up. That's where I was just like, all right, where are we at here?
Mike, don't tell me.
Honestly, like, I don't even. I mean, this is the thing. Everybody was like, oh, Sharon could be the power broker. And everyone was like, no, that's too obvious. And that just doesn't make any sense. This was early on in the series, right? We're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, as it went on, I was like, maybe we'll see. And I was like, we'll see. She's the power broker. Yeah.
I don't fully believe that. She never actually clarified that she was the power broker.
Technically, you're right. Technically, you're right.
So technically, she might not be the power broker. She might just be some crazy woman who's somebody we don't know who she is yet. But she never actually declared that she was the power broker. Which, if she was, why would they keep saying he as just a mislead?
Well, that's also like one of those things where it's like it's such an easy misdirection.
Right.
That like it's and I go back to when we talked about some other theories, like it's the Mandarin thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike, you talked about that theory you have, because we haven't mentioned it.
That upset me when it first happened. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Let's talk about that theory.
Yeah, because we haven't mentioned it here.
Okay, so I guess long story short, because we've talked about it. With the release of the trailer for
Shang-Chi
and the Ten Rings, they bring up the Mandarin. In the trailers, there's definitely scenes where I think Madripoor's a part of it. So my whole theory was, I thought with the release happening right before the finale, they were going to introduce Mandarin as the power broker. Like, you can call him in many different names or whatever. I thought it was going to be that, which would lead into this new, again, because I think we've talked about this. I think all these shows lead into either movies or the next chapter of the MCU and all things like that. So I was like, timing wise, that seemed like kind of too perfect. And I thought it would have been, if that was it, it would have been friggin' awesome.
Yeah,
I would have
cool.
loved every second of that, and it would have kind of made sense, because technically where that movie's going to be set, it would make sense that he runs everything in Madripoor. But because he's like a mob boss at the end of the day. But anywho, that's my theory. But Carly calling her the power broker. The other thing I don't understand, and again, this is like a little plot thing. Carly says, "You hired me to be your muscle," which makes it sound like Carly had the super serum.
It's a good point.
Prior to being hired, but from what we gathered, she stole super serum from the power broker in the very beginning. So that one little part didn't make sense, because it'd be one thing if she hired her to be like a lackey and then was like, take this super soldier serum to like
that's their
do
out.
whatever,
That's their only out, is that Carly was
but the way
yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
you're going the same route where that's the only way for that to work, is that she was a part of this movement. She somehow got in touch with the power broker, was like, I really want to do something, Obviously the virus thing was in Matterport, so they could have easily known each other. And she said, well, look, if you're really adamant about this, I've got some serum. Here's some for you and your few friends. And then she takes it after she actually was giving it to her by power broker. That's the only way for that to work in my mind.
But the conversation, how it happened, was like, you hired me to be your muscle. That's what you said specifically, which when you say something like that, it means you should already have said muscle.
Yeah.
Right. So Eddie, I'll let you go into your logic of it, but I hated the announcement of the power broker as Sharon, but we can talk about later what I think the reasoning is for, and I'll let you talk about this scene.
Right. So, okay, a few things. One, I would have loved Mike's theory. I think if that had panned out and it was actually the 10 rings, that'd have been great. I would have loved the Mandarin to show up there. That'd have been perfect. And then another thing, as far as the release of this series, I think this one was supposed to be before WandaVision.
Correct.
If I'm correct. Yeah. So maybe some of the things that they did in this series were before Shang-Chi would have even dropped the trailer. So like it's almost like we're seeing this show as an afterthought. I wouldn't say an afterthought, but like as a secondary, which it really should have been first, but given to the pandemic, they had to redo things.
Right,
and
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is introduced in Black Widow.
Exactly. And which leads to my third point. If they had kept the original script, I think this whole show would have been completely different. And I'm just like, I think we're nitpicking on so much because of that reason. Like, and it just sucks that we might not ever know what the original plot was and how it actually played out. And I feel like if we saw it, it would actually make more sense, because as of right now, it's almost like they're filling in plot holes that had plot holes originally. And you're like, all right, so there was already plot holes, and then they made more by having to do rewrites. So now they're trying to fill in those bottom ones to get to that top plot hole, and then to fill in that. And it's just, there were so many things I was like, so she's a power broker. No, she didn't really say it. And then Batroc believed it. And then, can we just move on to the next part? Can we just move forward?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, so then the bullets start flying.
Yeah.
She pops Batroc. Sharon does. He dies, which felt just weak as hell.
Yeah.
And then Carly gets her. So she got shot in the stomach. And then Captain America shows up, and I was like, dope. And she's fighting him. And with the wings and the shield, he's doing a lot of flips and turns with the shield, and the wings are going up. As Mike mentioned earlier, he takes the shield when she punches him, and like his wings lock into the ground. I thought that was super dope. Kind of reminded me of Spider-Man's legs and Infinity War. When it came out, that was super dope. And so like the scene was great, and she has him on the ropes, and then there was a moment where she has him down, and she was like, stay down or something like that, and he gets up, and it felt like he was gonna say, I could do this all day, but he doesn't. He says no, and it was like an affirmative no, and I was like, that's your moment. So like, that part I love. Part I love.
Totally agree.
The part I didn't like though, and I'm gonna harp on this so much. Sharon shoots Carly, and the way she dies felt so weak to me. Like, she just like I can't tell you how much I hate those deaths. Like in anything I ever do. If I'm on set and I get shot in a show and you guys see me die like that, just know that I didn't want to do it that way. I'm always gonna go against that. I'm always gonna go against it because I hate it so much. And so then she gets popped by Sharon, which I was like, all right, that feels earned, I guess. And then he holds her in his arms as she dies. And I'm like, I didn't get any of that. Like, I really didn't understand any of it.
I'll add one further.
Struggling.
As good as of a fight scene that was, I actually truly didn't like the Captain America the whole time being like, I'm not gonna fight you while fighting you. Like you fought her.
That was more defense, right?
Right, but it's like, fight her. Like, stop her. Like, you've been fighting this whole time. What are you talking about? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm with you. The death. Whenever someone has the slow dying scene where they're like, and the crazy thing, also,
It wasn't Trinity level death, okay? It wasn't Trinity and Neo, all right?
Also, the
Spoiler,
biggest part about
spoiler.
If you haven't seen The Matrix Reloaded, you need to get off your ass and start watching this movie.
Also, I hate the fact that the first thing that she does is apologize. Like, I'm sorry. It's like, no,
you're not.
Why? Because you died?
Why?
You got shot? That's why. Why are you sorry? Explain it to me while you're dying right now. It didn't work out for you? Was it that?
Yeah,
But it was just.
She said she's willing to die, right?
Yeah.
You want to know? You guys want to know my actually one of the things that I disliked most about this scene? You're gonna laugh at me.
This is why we're here.
I thought you were gonna be like you liked the whole thing.
No.
I'm logging off, guys. I'm out of here.
The unnecessary flips from Falcon.
Okay, yeah. But he trained for this.
I know, but he's like, just like, I'm like, why are you flipping? Like, what are you doing? Like,
He was even doing that in the Batrick fight in the very beginning. I just far too much in that Batrick fight.
It's this, for whatever reason, in this scene, I was kind of like, all right, I feel like we're overdoing it a little bit with the flips here. But
I really hope that he learns like legit hand-to-hand combat, because that would come in handy.
Yeah.
Like, and then incorporate it with the wings, even better.
Yeah.
But a lot of flips and spins and twirls, like you're a damn gymnast, dope. But like at some point you got to have moves to go with those. So, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was it. I mean, I agree with what you guys are saying. It felt a little anticlimactic with the power broker. It felt anticlimactic with Carly dying. You know, the next scene is basically Bucky keeps the phone that Carly called him on and uses the app to trick the Flag Smashers to come find him, which is kind of a little
adorable.
Yeah, and honestly, that is, I'll give them some credit on the writing on that part.
They got caught by using Find My Phone.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, here it is.
Welcome to 2021.
Yeah, because Bucky had a flip phone, if you remember, so that iPhone was there. So they.
The other question, just real quick, going back to that one.
Yeah.
I really want to say, like, I don't know why Sam, or we'll call him Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why when Sharon shot Carly like 4 times, how that, like, he was like, he was just okay with it.
Yeah, that's
like
it.
He was like, there was a moment where his face was like kind of surprised, but it wasn't like, why did you do that, Sharon?
I mean, if you guys were like, Carly was about to pull the trigger on Sam. She had the gun pointed at Sam and was about to pull the trigger, and he
should be bulletproof. He's bulletproof.
Well, his head's not. The top of his head's not.
His head's not.
Throw the wing on there. Wing it.
Well, he was frozen. He wasn't doing anything. Sharon had to act. You know, I don't know. What do you want from me?
It was again. It was just a unique ending that just didn't really. It felt janky and disoriented, and I was like, I don't fully understand this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
so, all right. So this all leads to like basically Sam's main moment, right?
This scene.
So,
oh my god.
Yeah. So basically, Sam carries the body down to the senators, right?
Super angelic. Love the shot.
Yeah, and it was. It really was. It was a great shot. He walks around. The news or whatever, like that maybe was a little much. But the truth is that's probably what would have been the scene. Like a bunch of senators are trapped or whatever, and they're getting rescued. There's probably news trucks and fire folks and all these different people around. Would the news have been as close as they were? No, probably not.
They were way close.
Way close.
Yeah.
There was no police like blockade.
We need you back.
Yeah.
Nothing. No tape. Nada.
There was another scene with Bucky and Walker just walking up together like they're buddies for life, which again we already talked about that. So this part, I mean, I literally have like a novel written here. I just want to hit some of the lines that I really liked, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on it. But Sam asks, if they're going to go forward with resetting the borders. Asks them to stop calling them terrorists. Senator doesn't know what else to call them. Sam explains how others that group of people, the terrorists, so to speak, look at the peacekeepers doing the same thing and calling them terrorists, and nobody's questioning why. And they're just labeling and not questioning why. I like that part of it. That they have a struggle that they've got to figure out how to manage through this. And they tell Sam he doesn't understand. And he said, and this is the part and I love how Captain America here is really becoming Captain America. And this is the part where like, I'd say being the black Captain America starts coming. Like, this is really where it's about. Like, this is the scene of the culmination of all the race discussions we're having. Eddie, I really want to get your input on this.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, he's like, yeah, I don't understand. And he says that they are right about it, but he thinks it's good because they have a common struggle now. And he says, and how does it feel to feel helpless? And I even me saying that right now, I can feel that in my body. And there's a lot more here, but I want to, Eddie, I want to throw it to you here in a second. Is like, to that part, I'm like, dude, if society, yes, like walk a mile in someone else's shoes, walk it. And that is kind of what Sam is saying right now. So anyway, I'll stop, Eddie. I want to hear from you.
I'm gonna make this simple, but it's gonna be impactful. Thor, everything you said, everything that he said in the monologue, I thought was fantastic. I thought, there's a point behind everything you're saying. Everything has weight, it's got gravity, and you need to listen. Here's the reason why I hate these scenes so much.
Yeah.
It's fiction all the time. That will never be reality. And I can never believe in that particular world, because there was not a moment in life that I've ever seen where one person, black especially, has a platform in front of a dozen or so Congress people and makes a point to say, walk a mile in my shoes, and fully understand that. Never has a congressperson gone, yeah, I get that. Never. It's never happened. Like, I would bet all the money in my pocket right now, I could go to Vegas on this. It would never happen, hasn't happened, never will happen. And so, like, I'm watching this scene, and as powerful as it is, because given the fantasy and given the fantasy of that show and the gravity of what's happening in our reality, it makes sense. Yeah. But how it was done, I didn't care for it, because I would never happen. If it was done any other way that made it more believable, I'd be all about it. But I'm watching it, and I'm like, I can't get, like, I just can't get with it, because it would never happen. Like, it's like when you tell a child, like, we can't go today because I got a foot cramp. Why? Like, you can't convince them that this is why it shouldn't be done this way, or this is why we're doing it this way. You just gotta hope for the best. Like, when has it ever happened that I could go into a group of people and go, guys, things need to be done this way, and everybody agrees with me, or they understand what I'm trying to get across? It's never happened. Yeah. I don't want to keep going, but Mike, feel free to share your points. That's just where I live on it. I thought it was a great speech, but how it was done, how it was delivered, I couldn't get on board.
Mike, before you jump in real quick, I want to ask Eddie a question. So, like, for me, and I don't know, maybe I talked about my fanboy, whatever you want to call it. Maybe I am kind of I am partially a hopeless romantic. Maybe there's part of me that's a societal romantic, hopeless, whatever. But I even though I agree 100% with everything you just said, Eddie, like, that scenario won't play. What I hoped for, and what I was hoping or thinking that the writers and the people behind Marvel were saying, is they wanted to inspire people like us to see that the world could be different. But and there's a lot more sayings that we'll get into that he does where that's what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing like this is a real scene that could ever happen. It's I'm hesitant to use this word, but an inspiration to say, like, you know what? Yeah, like, because later Sam, Captain America, says, I'm going to stand for this because of all the struggles before this. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, so every time, like, again, I've said this multiple times, I'm a white guy. I don't know how I can't walk in those shoes, right? But when I hear from people like you, Eddie, you tell me different stories, like other friends that we have from football, like, I'm like, bro, like, the world needs to change. Like, this ain't right. You know what I mean? And it's, whether it be a poem, a movie, a speaker, a senator, whatever, like someone who inspires us, or in this case, a piece of art, the art being a show that is capable of inspiring. I personally really get behind that and like it. I don't know. Am I like just?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the writers had the intention of having this scene be an inspiration and a hope to people that, like, if you have a voice, use it. Yeah. And make your point proven. Do it whether by yourself or with a crowd of people. Just make sure that you do it in the right way that people listen. I just believe that this scene, if I'm talking to people, senators specifically, Congress people, nowadays, the possibility, the odds that are against me to go into a room and voice my opinion to the majority of Congress people who are white and say to them this, that, and the other, and they all go, yeah, we agree, we get it, and then flip their opinion flip a 180. Okay, that's such a long shot. It would never happen because you got to go through this process, this hoop, and you got to go through all these votes and all these other things. So like for him to do it and just be like, you got to think another way, and they go, bet. If it happened here, they'd be like, you got to think another way. Okay, well, give us 7 to 18 years and we'll get back to you. Like, I just like it doesn't translate. Yeah. Like, I want to hear Mike.
I want to hear Mike.
No, so I agree. I would say, I think we talked about this from the very beginning. I think this show definitely integrates the modern day social conversation that we're having currently with race, everything going on, and they're incorporating it in the MCU. I'm with Eddie where I love, and actually with, like, we all agree the words he said in his speech are poignant and they make sense and they're very well said, especially when you think about the reality we're in. The problem I have is in the show, it's basically being broadcasted on the local news. And it makes it look so, like, again, I go back to cheesy. Like, there were parts of, like, where you, and then it's like snippets to like people watching it, and they're like Isaiah watching it, and it's like, he's saying such like real things that here, like, honestly, like, again, I'm not a creative person or anything like that, but I would have much rather had that speech. Like, if they had done the very beginning when he gives up the shields, if, like, hypothetically that never happened, but he's on a stage talking to like the masses about like being Captain America or whatever, and like fast forward, like he becomes Captain America through that thing, and he's talking in a very, not a more professional way, but like to the world. I feel like that would have been more poignant with the words he was saying rather than like on the sidewalk of a street in New York to some random senators who, again, to Eddie's point, like where they wouldn't be like, yeah, sure, you just saved our life, we'll agree with whatever you want, and stuff happens. But I again, his words, everything he said in that speech was awesome. I just don't like how it was portrayed with like the local channel 27 news putting it on TV. That's just me.
I want to say one thing. What was the scene in the movies? I think it might have been Age of Ultron, maybe, when Natasha was sitting in front of Congress talking about the aftermath of, was that?
Yes.
So that was.
Yes.
I would have preferred that. I would have preferred that over a street.
That's my point. Yeah. Like having him be with the entire, like, the president of the United States, and whatever, having it be with the leaders of the world, I think would have had a heart. Again, it's all fantasy, it's all whatever. I think that would have been a more impactful, even more impactful aspect viewing wise than what he was saying, which was also impactful at the end of the day.
Because to be honest, if you think about that scene, every moment that the Avengers have dealt with any kind of like major world issue, it's always been in front of Congress. Wakanda did it at the end of Black Panther. They did it at the end of Age of Ultron. Iron Man 2, they had it in front of Congress. There were all these moments where they were in front of Congress, and it was being streamed, or there was a live recording streaming everywhere. This was a moment in time on a street on a soapbox is what it kind of felt like, and I was just like, I felt like you could have done this any other way and it would have delivered way more harder than it did. This is the one time where they didn't have access to like a government building and they couldn't like film this actual scene. I'm like, that would have been so much better, but they chose the street and it didn't hit the same way it could have if it was delivered any other way. That's
okay. No, I mean, I hear what you guys are saying. I mean, I for whatever reason, I looked past that more into the message aspect. I don't know why. Like, I'm a sap.
Which I don't think we're faulting you for. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Message, we all agree. The message was correct and on point. The platform the message was being given on felt undervalued.
Okay.
It took away from everything out. Right.
Okay. All right. It could have been. The punch could have hit harder, given a different stage, essentially.
Right.
All right. I feel you guys, because I mean,
that's all we're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
he was speaking to the world in that moment, but it felt like he wasn't speaking to the world.
Yeah. I
felt very isolated.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you combine Wonder Woman spoiler 1984 with the end of that movie with the end of this show, where it's
Get me started on that movie.
all right,
son.
sorry, my bad. All right. Let's get back on track here. Let's back on track.
Jesus Christie.
Oh,
Yeah.
buddy.
God.
So, Sam's also got some good lines about the black man carrying the stars and stripes every time he picks it up. Millions who hate him. I did like those lines, judgments, and statements that he can't change, but he's still here. No serum, no blonde hair, blue eyes. I did love how Isaiah was watching that. You could tell, like, Isaiah was like, all right. And, you could tell he was proud. I did like that. I did like how Sam also said his only power is that he believes we can do better. That's like the Cap that he's going to be. I like that. I see, at this point, Bucky is also continuing to look impressed. So we talked about you see Torres watching him. Everyone's watching him. Torres was fixing the suit, it looks like, or he had some tools there, presumably fixing the suit, the Falcon suit.
Sorry for that.
Sarah was watching. Talked about what he talked to the senators, 2.0, Carly, got to stop and ask why, all this kind of stuff. But like you guys said, it could have hit home a little bit harder if it was on a different stage. I can't disagree with you guys there. But that they have the power of an insane god or a teenager, and they've got to figure out how to use it. And that's kind of where it's like, all right, yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. And this is the part, again, I mentioned this already. Well, before I move on, is there anything else that you guys want to jump on with this scene? Because it was, in my opinion, the second most impactful, meaningful scene in the show, or this episode. But is there, you guys probably know the first one as far as what my opinion is, but is there anything else you guys want to cover in this before I jump on to Walker and Sam just nodding to him and saying, see you next Friday for brunch?
I did enjoy when he was done and Bucky goes, I was on my phone, you said brothers and stars, I kind of lost you there. Like, I thought that was kind of hilarious.
That was hilarious.
that was kind of funny.
And he calls him Cap. He calls him Cap,
Exactly,
which I love.
he calls him Cap.
Yep.
And he taps him on the back, like on the shield specifically, so it was kind of like a nod to both him and Steve Rogers. I thought it was really cool. And then that random agent comes out of nowhere and says, they found the guy in the water, you want to go take it? And he just takes off. I'm like, where the hell
always. Ooh, I'm always here. That felt like a Superman moment.
Again, cheesy, self-serving.
Yeah.
Like, where did you come from, bud? You were in the building and now you're on the ground. Like, where were you? Like, who is this cat?
Yeah.
Also, do they not have, the Coast Guard, able to pick that guy up in the water? Like, where is everybody?
I admit that part felt like I mentioned Superman. It was just like, no, that's what Superman does. Like, oh, I'm always here. And I'm like, all right,
oh man,
Cap is not Superman, and Cap with wings is not Superman. He's just Captain America. So, yeah. Anyway, anything else to add before I talk about Zemo?
Nothing. We can move to that.
All right, cool. So, Zemo, just Alfred. Butler did it. I mean, it's just kind of like, all right. At first, when I first watched the first episode, or the first time I watched, it's like, who the hell is that guy?
Me too.
You're not alone. I was just like, who is that? And then even after I saw Zemo, I'm like, what? Wait, why? What? Who is that old dude?
Yep. The plane.
Yeah. I mean, what did that guy have, 6 seconds of screen time before that? Like
2 minutes.
Yeah.
He was on the private jet. The private jet.
Yeah, you're right. He was on the I
forgot.
forgot. So, but it was pretty cool to show that Zemo still does have reach, that he does have this foresight. I'm guessing it was planned prior to getting in the raft. But it shows Zemo in the raft. He smiles when he hears it, so you can tell he's happy. He had a hand in that. Which is going to play into the Thunderbolts in the future. And then we get our scene with, this is another scene that I had a little bit of problem with. Val, U.S. agent in the courtroom. She gives him the new suit. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, he looked like a 6-year-old who just had Spider-Man show up at his birthday. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm back. Woohoo, I'm back. And I'm like, okay, what character are you now portraying right now? Because I don't know who this dude is.
I don't know what he is. Mike, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let Mike take this one first.
So real quick to start off, the other thing I really will say, I didn't hate, but for Zemo to be this call it evil genius, to where his backup plan was randomly to know where have his butler go to where the Flag Smashers were going to be and put a bomb specifically on an armored truck that the super soldiers were going to be in to kill them. That was like, okay.
That is like a handful of steps ahead, but like, where were you?
Or Val.
Like you knew this, like, right, like, oh, right. Well, and going to Val, like, I think she probably helped. Like, I actually think, again, I think there's a lot of teasing to Thunderbolts, which I think is gonna happen. And it also makes me think that Val, like, I don't know about General Ross. I don't. Whether he's going to be a part of it or not, it almost seems like Val is like potentially running this Thunderbolt crew because she's like putting the team together. It feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Walker scene, that was cringy as hell. For one, how did they end up back at the courthouse where he was excommunicated from being Captain America? Like, why there? Why were they back there? And why was he changing in the back room?
Time leap.
I know why. You guys want to know why?
Go.
Because Julia Louis-Dreyfus shot for one day, and it was the same building, so they needed a different room instead of the hallway.
Probably. Scheduling purposes.
That's fine. But it was one of those things.
It sucked for the story, though. Yes.
No, that's fine. But it was one of those things where it was like, you were just there. Now it's another day. And you're right. He after also like getting the moniker, the U.S. agent, I felt like was very like, not forced, but we don't need Captain America. We need a U.S. agent. It's like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like, that doesn't make sense. And again, Walker going, it's black. And like talking about his costume. And then once she walks away, he goes, I'm U.S. agent. Or like his wife says it. And it was such an unnecessary scene. It almost was like one of those scenes where I was like, I hoped like that building just blew up and he actually died. And there's no U.S. agent because he just stinks. It was really one of those. It was so, again, I've mentioned cheesy as a word. That was cheesy as hell. And it was like, like you knew he was going to be U.S. agent, but that was like such an unfulfilling like intro to him being U.S. agent.
Right. I felt the same. I think the only thing I liked about it was that his suit is literally like the polar opposite, like the inverse of colors to Cap's. Like Sam's wearing it, and it's a black guy and pretty much like a red, white, and blue suit, whereas Walker is. It's a white guy in an all black and red suit. You know, it's kind of a nice, like, it's an interesting combo.
They've kind of switched because Falcon's suit was black and red.
Right, exactly, yeah. So now you're seeing like the different. I thought that was like the one positive I got out of that. And then Julia Louis-Dreyfus just being amazing as always, and then her introduction for the Thunderbolts. I mean, his name is Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, so he's gonna have a hand in the Thunderbolts because his name's in the title.
No, I agree with that. She's gonna have a hand in it somehow.
Yeah, she's almost like his Fury at this point. Like. Right. He's the name behind everything else. Yeah. I mean, that's that scene at the ending. Oh, damn. Like it was so
the wife is still so pointless.
What is she? I'm not gonna do it.
She goes like, "You're U.S. agent," and they hug. It's like, you're happy about.
I didn't. I think it would have been cooler if she at all helped. Kind of maintain his psychosis during his whole episode from like episode 2 all the way to the end, but she was only in certain points, and so having her there just didn't really fulfill a purpose. She was just hanging out. She was a body. She was almost like a glorified extra, and I was like, I just don't understand why you're here.
You know, now that you say that, it probably would have been better. I get why they killed Lamar for him to get rageful, but it almost would have been better for them to like kill her and have Lamar be the one who is like, dude, like, you know, like, because the show, like, they were tight, you know, you felt that relationship, and like, yeah, you got why he was mad, but like, you instantly, like, anybody understands if you kill somebody's partner, like, oh yeah, you're going down. Like, you don't need a significant role in a show to get that anger. Like, I mean, John Wick had a puppy, you know, his wife. You didn't know the wife, you know, like you just knew that his wife gave him the puppy, you know what I mean? Right. And he was like, oh yeah, this is on. You know, it's like, so anyway, I think that would have been something they could have probably done slightly different and better, and you would have had still Lamar in the show, but anyway, all right. So now a part that I probably struggled with the most, Bucky and kind of doing his amending with, and I don't remember the guy's name, but the old man.
Mr. Nakajima.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna elaborate on this. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Like, it was too quick for me. I didn't buy it. I was like, no. Like, Bucky did this great arc. He did this great, like, I'm getting over my PTSD. And it was like, oh, hey, I'm here. Yeah, I killed your son, but I'm not that guy anymore. Cool. All right, see ya. I mean, that was basically it. And then he looked at him in a window, smiled, and walked away. And I'm like, what the like, no. Like, what is this? Anyway, I'm done.
It was the one name in his book that he hadn't crossed off, meaning there is some kind of importance to it, right? It's usually how it goes. If you cross everything else off, it means it was pretty easy to get through the other names. This is the one that gets you. And there were 3 instances up to this moment where you're like, okay, this guy has a purpose in his life. And when he goes to his apartment the first time and looks in the door and sees the memorial for his son, you think, okay, well, he's gonna tell him at some point, and then he does. Yeah. We get to this moment here. If you shave off like 5 minutes of like that airplane sequence in the beginning, some of the minutes of Sam talking on the ground to the Congress people, and put that towards the conversation with Bucky and Mr. Nakajima, I would have loved that so much more, because that is an intimate moment that I feel like we got robbed of. You're telling a guy who you befriended, who has no idea why you befriended him in the first place, I killed your son because of the person I used to be, and you don't take the time to explore that as a scene, bruh, I got a huge problem with that. Like, it felt just like, hey, can we talk? This happened. Deuces. That was it. It felt like so quick. And that is a passionate moment that I feel like should have been embraced a lot longer. And it just wasn't. Yeah. It felt so quick and rushed and just shorted. And then he goes by the spot, sees the girl he had one date with, and then the guy, and then just fades into existence. I'm just like, dude, Mike, you got it.
No, I agree on all counts. I just
he's there.
It's one of those things where even like you don't even find out whether he like forgave him.
That's the most important part.
Like if he said, like, also here's the other thing, which again, this is all like fancy and doesn't make sense, but at one point Bucky was like a most wanted person across the world. Like, I feel like for him, for no one knowing who he is, like, I feel like he should be like, because of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people should kind of know he's the Winter Soldier. Like, he also helped save the world. Yeah. Anyway, here nor there. He tells him, I killed your son because I was the Winter Soldier. And then it just shows smoke in a candle. You don't see whether he go, like, if there was more conversation of like just any part, or even just showing him being like, I've come to know you, Bucky, like, you are not a bad person, like, you can go on with your life or whatever. Like, anything to give Bucky a sense of like crossing that name off the list is done would have been much better for his arc, especially because they showed him such a hot mess in the very first episode. He's sleeping on the floor, like crying, like just hanging out with this old guy every day for the most part, or whatever it is. And then you get 30 seconds of him being like, I killed your son, my bad. You don't get like an end wrap. And then you just see the dad drinking by himself. Like, it would have been much better if he'd be like, you know, I forgive you, like, let's go have a drink together, like, we're, you know, friends or something, you know? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of any of it.
They left it to interpretation after he sees him in the bar, and you're like, so did he forgive him? Does he hate him now? Like, what? I'm just supposed to guess, because like when the woman looked at him, I was like, so what? How does she feel? Does she know? How does she feel about it? And it's just like there was so much left on the table. I was like, guys, this should have been a scene. How it wasn't is beyond me. It's beyond me. And I would have. Here's the thing: if I was Sebastian Stan, I would have begged for it. Like, yo, can we? Can this be a scene? It has to be. Can we cut anything else out and make this part of the show?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they did shoot something on it. I don't know how they couldn't have.
They shot an hour of Zemo dancing. Why couldn't they shoot this?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I almost guarantee they have footage of their conversation, and they just, for one reason or another, decided we don't have enough room for it. Like, there's just, you know, we got to cut this. I don't know. I mean, because I think it was originally supposed to be 10. I don't know. We mentioned it before, but like the Game of Thrones, like disease, just finish strong. Just finish strong. You know what I mean? Like take a little extra time, finish strong. Like
you spent $300 million to film this show. That can afford like 2 extra episodes or like 10 more minutes or something.
Yeah. Like even if the finale was an hour and a half, give me anybody who's watching this show at this point does not mind getting an extra 30 minutes of show. Like, and it's
I watched a 4-hour Justice League movie twice.
And it's all streaming. It's streaming. You're at home. You can pause it. It's not like you have to get to the next syndicated show that must start at 7 p.m. so you can only have 60 minutes. It's not like that anymore. You can make things as long as you want or short as you want.
It was such a, I would say, for having an arc for Sam as they've had to build him up, because I think the show at the end of the day was about him.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a disservice to Bucky because they've built him, I think, up as well to be in this next phase to where you made it seem so important of him, like, crossing these names and building these, and this was the one where you got he basically was like, I killed your son, and then we don't know what happens.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Like, what if WandaVision did that? What if they build up these emotional episodes, and then the last one, when he's about to leave and be gone for her life forever, they were just like, all right, deuces, and just called it quits? I'd have been like, yo, what? Like, you gave us all these grief episodes, and the last one, when they have a moment together, you just end it. I'd have been hot. I don't know about you guys, but like, I just, oh man, that scene just upset me to my core, because we knew it was gonna happen, and it didn't really happen.
You know what's interesting is you think about it. There was one other time where we actually saw Bucky kind of ask for amends or was crossing names off the list. And it was in the parking lot. Remember when he was talking to the woman in the car from the outside and all the cops came? That scene was longer than what we got with the dad. I bet if you...
And that was an irrelevant scene.
Nobody cared.
It was explaining how the process goes for how he crosses
just a
it.
random Hydra person that got like 5 minutes of screen time.
That's right. So anyway, I just thought of what you guys were just saying, and I'm like, you know what? I think that one scene was longer.
I would have loved, even if the only other parts of that scene was him going, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I would be like, okay, like at least that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
It would have still sucked, but I've been like, at least there's like what happened.
Yeah.
There's closure in some way.
Walking out, and that was it. And then it showed the dad drinking at a bar by himself, which I don't know if that's good or bad.
And I couldn't tell what his emotion was. Was he sad? Was he happy? I have no idea. And that's not a mark on who he is. As far as his ethnicity, I'm just saying, like, I had no idea if he was happy or sad. He just didn't deliver anything.
Yeah. So anyway, we're being negative Nancy's on this, but that's all right.
We're sorry.
Yeah, we give our real opinions, and that's what it is. So
the bar is high, damn it. Okay.
That's exactly right. All right. So now, to me, this is the part where I think that the most meaningful part of the show comes in. It's basically Sam going to see Isaiah. You know, they have a great talk in the backyard. You know, I did like how Isaiah said it was special, but he ain't Malcolm or Martin, which I was like, all right, I see you. And you know, and Anthony Mackie gives a pretty good acting response there. And he goes, and Isaiah says to him, he goes, Black Captain America, huh? And Sam goes, damn right. And I just really like that. It's like, yeah, embrace it, love it. They talk about how it won't be an easy fight. Sam says, you know, he might fail, he might die. They built this country. They bled for it. He won't have someone tell him he won't fight for it. Not after what everyone went through before him. And he says, including you, Isaiah. And then he wants to show him something. And to me, this, like, I don't know. I actually like shed a tear even the second time I watched this, where he brings him to the memorial and says, you know what, now they'll never forget. You know, no one forget what you did for this country. And they hug. And Eddie, did I saw you raise up your hand there as I said that. I mean, to me, this was extremely touching. I liked this. And I just was like, I don't know. I loved everything about it. And I still feel like little chills when I talk about it. I just think it was great.
Love that scene. Their conversation in the backyard, I was like, great. The entire time I was like, there has to be a moment in this show where that happens. And it did. So I was happy that delivered. gets to the memorial. He's in the back. Well, I'm not sure where it was in the memorial, but like, he shows him got the statue and the whole story. And there's a moment where he sheds a tear, and he finally gets recognition after all these years of being in the shadows. And not by fault of Captain America, just because the government had him there. That was just how it was. But now the whole world now knows who he is. That was a great scene. Yeah. I shed a tear. I don't cry very often, but that was a good one. And like I think Mike said earlier, like the story really is about Sam. So to have this moment be as wholesome and as full as it was makes sense. That's really all I have to say about that. I thought it was a good scene, emotional, strong, great. But still feel like some things were missed. But whatever, Mike, I'm gonna let you take over.
No, I mean I agree. I think I've said it before. I think I've liked every scene with Isaiah. Mm-hmm. I think this guy, so my one idea is I want old man Isaiah and old man Steve Rogers to have a show where they're old badass Captain Americas.
Yes.
Because there was that part where he's talking to Sam and he's like moving a giant tree, and I was like, this guy's still badass. Let's go.
He still got it.
No, the conversation was great. The memorial was great. I tear up very easy when it comes to emotional stuff in TV, so I was tearing up big time at the memorial for him. But every scene with Isaiah in this entire show was phenomenal. That actor, who I don't know his name, but he is phenomenal in this role. Every scene was perfect with him, and as this was, it was just awesome.
Cool. Yep. It was a quick transition.
It was one of the only scenes that I liked in this episode.
Yeah, they nailed this scene. And I will say, the one thing I will say is if they didn't deliver on that scene, the whole show for me would have been like, dude.
It fell super flat.
Yeah, I would have been like
flat.
I would say I like 3 scenes in this episode, and that was one of them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That one was they killed it on that one. I was glad they really gave the time for. I mean, and if I still think they could have cut some of the stuff like you guys said for the Bucky stuff, but I am glad they didn't cut any, or presumably didn't cut anything from that. So then we go to New Orleans. Everyone's hanging, partying. You see Winter Soldier's. He's not. He's just got his arm out, showing everybody he's not wearing long sleeves or gloves anymore. So you can tell he's kind of accepting himself for who he is. And eventually it cuts to the title where it says Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which I thought was great. I did love it. We mentioned early on that this show really was about Sam getting the shield. And I love, in that regard, I went from, like I said, I can't see Anthony Mackie carrying the shield. I just can't. To, yes, I'm okay with this. This is good. I give him the shield. You know what I mean? And yeah, we'll get to the mid-credit scene, but anything else you guys want to say about up to this point, Mike?
Yeah, no, it was one of those scenes again. I'm not knocking it, but it was like, I don't know how long the exact scene was, but let's call it 5 minutes. It was like 5 minutes too long of them celebrating, having a lunch together. I would have been fine with something like that. Especially like they do a lot of good callbacks. I would have liked, I think in the first episode, Bucky tells Sam, I would have liked if Sam called Bucky Buck or whatever the nickname is, and like Bucky like embraced it, because I feel like that would have been like, he was like, only Captain America calls me that. And again, I think this show was supposed to be not only giving Sam's arc into being Captain America, but also supposed to be like a buddy cop where these two are going to be partners, I feel like, in the MCU going forward.
Yeah.
So I feel like it didn't have to be like a party in Louisiana. Also, I would have wanted to see, because they made it a big importance, I wanted to see the boat in the water. I want to see like the boat, like I thought they were
pulling away from the dock or something like that.
I thought they were going to be driving the boat off the dock, and it was going to go into the ocean. So, like, whatever. I'm nitpicking, and I'm just like,
we all are.
Disney knows better than me, but I'm going to talk crap about them. No, it was. I at the end of it, when it rolled to, I'll just call it when it rolled to Captain America: Winter Soldier, loved it. I think it was in black and white for a reason. I think that was like a very specific, small writing. You know, it wasn't like a big thing. It was just very Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he's Captain America, like you said. And we thought that after episode 1.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, I was. It finished not strong, but it was a fine finish in terms of leading to the credits.
Okay.
Right.
And speaking of, we've already talked about it quite a bit, and this is kind of where the show wraps up. Unfortunately, I wanted to end on a high note, but they have the mid-credit scene, and Sharon gets pardoned and makes a phone call and says, you know, we don't have super soldiers, but we're going to sell all these tech secrets and whatever, further potentially amplifying her or cementing her as the power broker. Weakest mid-credit scene ever? Besides the joke ones?
I'm going to go different route. I think I mentioned it in our group text. Again, this show, I think all these shows are bridges to other things.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion is coming up soon. I think she's a Skrull. I think that's where they're going with this world, because Skrulls want to embrace and get into governments and all this stuff. So I think she may not be like Sharon Carter. She's like the Skrull. It's similar to Fury. Like Fury in, what was the most recent one? Was it Endgame?
He showed up in
he popped up at the end, at the funeral.
Right.
Well, but then in Far From Home. Oh. In Spider-Man. In Spider-Man, he was a Skrull.
It was Far From Home.
Yeah.
So I think maybe Sharon is with the real Nick Fury up in space. Again, there was a mention of Steve Rogers being on the moon. Who knows if he's up there? They're making another Captain Rogers. But I think this was a semi lead into her being a Skrull, because even if she is the power broker, it didn't do anything. Again, the scene didn't do it for me, but that's where my mind went on it. Eddie?
Right.
Give me 1 second. I want to look up one thing. This is actually happening, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know Secret Invasion might be what Eddie's looking up, but like...
No, it's not. It's a different one.
Okay.
All right. So, okay. All right. Another theory. Another theory. I like Mike's, but I'm also a bit skeptical on it, because if that was the case, if she's a Skrull, then why would she have that little face mask thing that she used earlier in the episode? She could have just morphed and all that shit.
Well, because she was meaning.
I get why.
Bucky.
Right, which is true, but I just feel like that's like extra steps to do. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's a series coming out called Armor Wars.
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be what that's also leading to. Who she was talking to, 10 Rings, someone in Mad Report, I don't know, maybe AIM, Hydra, I don't know, maybe long shot, Reach, Oscorp. I'm just saying, there's so many
Galactus.
Yeah, there's so many there's so many avenues this could go down, but I wouldn't say it was I would say it might have been the weakest, but it has possibility to actually be a stronger one once we get a complete narrative on it. I don't know. She got pardoned because of her name, Carter, which is dope, and she's kind of like flying under the on the wings of her grandmother.
Sam kept his promise.
Sam kept his promise. True, you're right. So it was cool. And then there was a moment when she's leaving, and she like if the camera slows down, she kind of like looks at the camera a little bit, like gives like she breaks the third wall, and I was like, oh, dope. And then she made the call, and then she just pieces out. But I was like, all right, that's it. Well, damn.
It's one of those additional scenes that, like, I feel like whenever we have those extra scenes, it doesn't necessarily give us an answer, but it gives us like, it makes sense. That one just didn't make sense.
Yeah. I was just kind of like, okay, cool. We already knew she was the power broker.
Because if you're the power broker, who are you calling to tell you have all this power? That means you're not the power broker. Like, someone called you to tell you that they have.
Yeah, you know,
plans for you.
Maybe that's what the intent was, honestly, was to leave it open that maybe she's not. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, maybe she's not it. I don't know. I didn't think about it until you just said that right now, Mike, honestly. So.
Yeah. But it was like a meh.
Yeah.
Meh.
It's like, all right, whatever. So, look, like we said, we like the show. There was holes in this one that we would have liked filled in.
And I think there's only holes because of the coronavirus. I think the majority of those holes wouldn't have even happened if they had kept the script the way it was.
Yeah, I think a lot of TV show type stuff, just people in general right now are given giant bandwidth with whatever they're doing because of COVID the last year. Everything's just all jacked up, whatever it might be, whether it's work or this work or, games, just life in general is weird. So I look forward to see where we got Loki coming up here and what. I don't know if it's a week or two or whatever it is. I
think it's only 6 episodes again, right? Is it 6?
I think so. I hope that one is. We'll see. I've heard some rumors that might be a reoccurring show as well.
Oh, word?
Yeah, yes, I forget exactly where I read that, but that would be awesome if so. Like he's just constantly running around trying to fix timelines. That'd be super cool. So we'll get that, and there's a bunch of other shows coming up. So we'll just keep shooting them. Obviously, got to figure out inside joke, but figure out the background of this thing after this. But anything else you guys want to say before we sign off?
Just again, I think all around like the episode. I think the money they put into these shows with how they look, CGI, action, phenomenal. And we'll see where the next show goes. Yeah, but it's definitely good filler before movies come out.
No doubt, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Mike. I agree with Thor. I just think I love the series. I mean, I really enjoyed the series. I like what they were going for as far as what the issues that are currently in our society and bringing that into the forefront of this. And I enjoyed introducing Sam as the new Captain America and Bucky's arc to some degree. I enjoyed. There was just some stuff that just didn't make sense, and that's all probably because they had changed the script. That's the only thing I had a problem with. And so I enjoyed it. It's a good bridge to other stuff, and I'm excited to see what happens. To see what's going on next. So here we are.
Cool. All right. Well, if you made it this far, this is a longer episode, but thanks for sticking with us. As I always say, hammer down on that like button, click that notification bell. Subscription button, 10K giveaway once we get 10,000 subscribers. So you can do that. There's a Discord link in the description below. Easy to follow along. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll see you again soon. And until then, we hope you have a wonderful day. See ya.